Hello, everybody. This is Carl, and I see we have good turnout. Got about 10 people, 11 people. All right, so people are continuing to join, and I appreciate you being here. So let's go ahead and get started. By the way, for those of you who have not seen it already, I recommend the book Anarchy, Inc. by Patrick Schwarzenegger. It is a great look at some cool changing new technologies and a way that society and our technologies are conspiring to reduce centralized authority and increase anarchy. So as a business person, I think that it's important to know this stuff. So there you go. That's your free tip for the day. So welcome to this forum. So when we get to the questions section, if you don't want anybody to know your name or you don't think I can pronounce it, that's fine. You can use a handle of some kind. This is being recorded for rebroadcast. So just so you know, this says, if you choose to participate, it's a public forum. My name is Carl Polachuk. For those of you who haven't heard of me before, I'm the author of several books, including several of the better selling books for managed services. And I encourage you to, buy all of these in as many formats as you can afford. So there you go. In terms of today, today we're going to talk about the Small Biz Thoughts community and do some questions and answers. I have some news on the last slide, so I know a couple people have watched earlier versions of this presentation. So sorry to tell you, all the new stuff is at the very end. A few resources for you, and of course this will be replayed, but these are on my blog at smallbizthoughts.com. So one is just introducing the community, and the other one is the actual launch site with videos, which is at smbbooks.net/SBT-community-launch. So check those out. And actually, let me go back. If you need to take a screenshot, that's a great opportunity to do that. And then you can paste it into Paint or Snagit or whatever, and you'll have that. So I've been thinking about doing a community for a long time, and two big questions came up for me personally. One is, do I have enough content to make it worthwhile? And it really it started with, do I have enough content? Do I have enough content in my head? Because I've produced many white papers and many checklists and many things, including, as of this fall, I have 18 books. And so, I've got some content, but I literally wanted to make sure that I had the newest books out and all of that available to draw from, and all the related handouts and so forth. I wanted to make sure I had enough content that there'd be no question that people were getting their money's worth. And we had a meeting in February using the Zoom tool to have just an open meeting. There were about, I'm trying to remember now, I think there were about 50 people, but only 25 can participate at a time. And so we had a lively discussion and talked about where there's a need and where there isn't a need. I said there were a couple of things. Well, one thing is content. The other one is there a need for this community? Is there a need for a new community? Because as one of the things that's happened in the evolution of our business is that the community has evolved. I mean, my good friend, Harry Brailsford, started out by literally going from city to city, having meetings at airport hotels and meeting rooms, and being like Johnny Appleseed and encouraging people to get together and continue to have meetings when he left town. And he did that all over England and Ireland and the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and he went everywhere. And he created this massive community. But what happened over time is that a bunch of people said, well, I can only go to one conference a year, so I'm going to go to the one that's for my PSA or for my RMM or for this backup system where I make a bunch of money. And other people said, well, we only want to meet with people who are large MSPs. And other people said, well, we only want to meet with people who are focused on marketing. And, great conferences emerged to the point where now, if you look at the schedule for somebody like the folks who go to some of these conferences, and I'll just pick up Network Detective as an example, they do hundreds. I think it's over 200. It might even be close to 300 shows a year. Now, if you take out the weekends, that's literally, almost a show every day. And so there's so many communities. And the question is there a niche to be filled? And I have to be honest, I think there is. And I think that the niche actually has more to do with bringing all those disparate people back together than it does about creating a new niche that hasn't been filled by somebody already. So I think that there's room for a community that is 100% focused on the SMB space. And to be honest, a lot of people in enterprise want to choose to participate, and that's good, and you're welcome. But I think the core audience is small IT providers serving small business clients. And so that SMB space, I think, deserves to be well served. One of the things that happens sometimes is that vendors and distributors and the people that help us make money, they get to a certain size and they can't really grow very easily by adding 50 licenses or 100 licenses. They need partners who can give them 1,000 licenses, 2,000 licenses, 5,000 licenses. And so their focus moves from SMB up to a larger audience. And I think that it's good to have that focus back down on the SMB space. There's many, many people joining this business every day who have never heard the term managed service provider because it's not a natural phrase that rolls off your tongue. They think they're computer consultants. They think they're IT consultants. They might even think they're technology consultants. But managed services, that's not a phrase that makes any sense unless somebody's already introduced you to it. Now, having said all that, I think that we want to focus on MSPs. We want to focus on people who either are or will be managed service providers. I think that that's the business model of the future. So if you want to earn $40 an hour, be a one-person shop, and do completely break fix, to be honest, you're not going to be in this business very long. And so it doesn't make any sense to build a community based on folks who are going to jump in and jump out of this business in a year. Because if that's how you define yourself, you will not be in business in a year. So, or you'll be scratching and clawing and you won't be able to afford the price of admission. Having said that, almost everybody, I'm a firm believer, almost everybody who makes less than $500,000 in top line revenue can double their revenue in the next 1 to 2 years with a concerted effort. And I think helping those folks get to the next level is what can really make a community strong. And some of that is finding the right partners, finding the right vendors, finding the right tools, finding the right shortcuts, there's in every job, there's how you would do it if you didn't know what you were doing and how you would do it after you know what you're doing, right? And that's true whether it is fixing a car, straightening out a door, painting a room, fixing a computer. I was recently with somebody who needed to unbox a computer and didn't know that he could. I guess he knew he could. He didn't know that he should open one end and lift the box. So he was trying to lift the computer out of the box, which of course, all the air was stuck on the inside and it was a very difficult thing to do with a very heavy computer when really lifting the box from the other end was much easier. that's not a difficult thing. There's no genius involved in that. It's just a thing you either know or you don't know. And so when you look at managed services, when you look at successful businesses, there are things that people know because they've been in the business 5, 10, 15 years that people who are new to the business don't know. There's also people who have been successful for 15 years, but they're new to marketing. They're new to security systems. They're new to LED lighting panels. They're new to the technology it takes to manage and monitor multiple camera systems, right? So we're all new at something. And no matter what you take on, you start out being new and then you move to being experienced. So a community where we can learn from each other is extremely valuable. We're also entering an era in which technology is growing exponentially every day. And so we are all new at a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, a lot of us, myself included, there's a bunch of this technology that we've read about but haven't put our hands on. So not only are we new at it, we are a step before new. We have to touch it someday, but we haven't quite got our hands on it yet. So as this technology emerges, matures, and allows people to figure out how to make money, we can help each other get there. And so I think that a community that's completely focused on that kind of professionalism and profit and education and never-ending renewing of our education, that's the kind of community I think that's very valuable. Now, there's a great deal of value in vendor-focused events, but I don't think that that's a niche that needs to be filled. I think I'm going to CompTIA because I want to meet a bunch of vendors. I go to ASCII events so that I can learn about new technologies. I go to Channel Pro so I can meet new vendors, right? So those groups have done an excellent job with that. You know, if you need somebody to intervene on your behalf, then ASCII's your group. So that's a great group. But, you know, there's a lot of things that they don't do. So I think that there's room for multiple communities, including Channel Pro and ASCII and CompTIA and HTG and Robin Robbins and everybody else. So I think it's also important to have a group that's not product specific. So we are not going to have advertising for any vendors or any distributors or any products inside the Small Biz Thoughts community. Again, that's one of those things where there's no shortage of opportunities for that. This needs to be a place where we can have, if vendors want to be inside, they can just join like everybody else, and they will be just another person who can participate and look around and talk to people and so forth. But we're not going to have banner ads, and we're not going to have things pop up in front of your face and interrupt you. And right, that's not what we're doing in this community. This is completely a member-focused community, a community-focused community, rather than a vendor-focused community. I also want it to be super highly interactive. I just sent out a note to the community leaders that you're about to meet and said, okay, I want to fill the calendar with a series of live events. So send me your ideas, and I've already gotten responses back about ideas for things to do. And so I'm going to talk a little bit at the end about what we're going to start with in August. So what I don't want to do, kind of my anti-dream, is I don't want to put on another 3-day event with, 500 people in a room and different tiers of access and, all of that. There's plenty of conferences where you can go and listen to one vendor presentation after another. And again, there's huge value in that, but that niche has already been filled. That's kind of the way that I look at it. And I don't want you to always feel like you're being sold more and more. So one of the questions back in February is, well, should we have 1 level or 2 levels or 3 levels? And I even thought about a free plus subscription kind of thing and finally decided, no, let's just have one level. You're either in or you're out. So, that's the goal. And so I don't want you to feel like you're constantly being sold to. There's lots of knowledge, and if you discover something and you say, oh my gosh, that sounds like the greatest thing in the world, I want to go invest in that, you can, obviously, but we're not going to be selling additional stuff inside the community. So when I ask people, what do you need? The number one answer, number one, for 12 years now has been, I need more sales, or I need more leads, or I need more clients, or I need more customers. I mean, that's the number one thing. And so other answers I get is, I need help creating processes and procedures. I need help hiring my first tech or my next tech, or I have to figure out whether or not I should have a layer of management between me and the techs, right? There's all kinds of things that people need. And so even though getting more sales and more leads is at the top of the list, everybody's got a different challenge, and it is the case. If you haven't figured out how to get the free cash to be able to hire your first tech, there's a lot of people with that challenge, and we can help each other out. There's a smaller number of people that are trying to figure out how to hire their 10th tech, or how to hire a service manager now that they've got 6 or 7 techs. But those people also have a common challenge that they need to discuss. So whatever your challenge is, I want to build a community that's big enough that there are other people facing the same challenge, where you can discuss these things and you can try things together. You can, for all I care, you can use the tools I'm going to put out there to go off and create a meeting for 6 of you to get together once a month and just make stuff happen. That's totally fine with me. I want to be an avenue where a true community can emerge, a community where people know each other, they trust each other, they share ideas, they participate in the growth of us as an industry. And on many occasions, I've talked about how this industry is far more professional than it was 10 or 20 years ago. At the same time, we do have a constant influx of people who, they don't know the resources. They don't know that they should join ASCII. They don't know that they should go to the Channel Pro events. They don't know what the options are to them. And so they need to be, acculturated, basically. If you've read my book, Relax, Focus, Succeed, then you may be familiar with my personal mission statement, which I talk about in the book, which is very simply to inspire success through a balance of serving myself and serving others. That is literally why I do what I do. It's why I run my life the way I run it. It's why I run my business the way I run it. And you may or may not believe that, but that is my vision for what I want to do in my life. And I am able to do that. I'm very lucky that I'm able to do that. And I'm able to do that because of people like you supporting me over the years. And I think that this fits very, very well and very consistently with that vision of what I want to do with my life. So the biggest piece of this for me is always community. If you follow my blogs or you follow me on Facebook or even read my newsletter, you know that I love to travel around the world and get 6 or 8 or 12 people together in some far-flung city and share a meal and have a beer. And, in a perfect world, it will be after hours when, it's just people sitting around a table talking. And to me, that's a big piece of the community, is to actually get to know people. So in our community, we have a series of forums, and I'm sure this will evolve over time, but they're basically special interest groups. There are forums for security and forums for marketing and forums for just running your business and forums for running a one-person shop and all kinds of stuff. And so whatever your special interests are, I think we have a forum for you. And if not, send me an email. We'll see about setting up another forum. We're also going to have group trainings and group projects. And here's a perfect example. Here's what I'm going to do in August. In August, I am setting up a training it's going to 3-part training, members only, and it will be on how to tune up your LinkedIn profile. So what we're going to do is have the people who choose to are going to sign up for this training. And then we're going to do 3 different sessions. That'll be like 30 to 60 minutes each. And then we're going to send you off to go, do all those things, tune up your LinkedIn. And then we're going to all post our LinkedIn profiles, and everybody's going to go visit everybody else's LinkedIn profile and give feedback. And we'll give a prize for the most improved LinkedIn profile. So that's the kind of thing that I want to do. These things will be run either by me or by the community leaders. They will be educational. They will be literally hands-on, something you can use to improve your business today. And they'll be interactive, and they will help you get to know the other members of the community and to improve your business while you're doing it. So that's the kind of thing that I want to do. The community leaders are truly great experts. And when we get to them, you're going to recognize a lot of the names. These are people who've been around a while and are true experts in the larger community. And we're going to have some online member meetings. And again, using the Zoom tool for that, where I think, we can buy as many as we need, but basically we can have 25 faces on the screen at one time. I think we can have 100 people participating all together. And if we need a bigger session, obviously we can pay for that, but that's how it starts. So those will be far less chaotic than they sound at first. The couple that I've run so far, I've been surprised at how well behaved it all is, and how people mute their microphones and they don't all talk all over each other. So again, very, very member focused. Plus, we're going to have a break room. So I met yesterday with Ruben, my web developer. He and I both share a hobby, which is we collect public domain movies and video games. And so we're going to have a break room where you can go and, watch some movies, play some classic video games, that kind of stuff. And, it'll be basically like any other community. Sometimes you have to not work. Sometimes you have to just hang out. So we're going to create a room for that. And, some of the classic movies, if people want to have a discussion of them, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or whatever, that's totally fine with me. And it's always interesting. We get together at these events, and what we know we have in common is technology. And so we talk about that a lot. But eventually you start talking about other things, whether it's photography or old movies or trivia or whatever. And so, we all have hobbies. So I want it to be very interactive and very human in that regard. But at the end of the day, content is king. So we have tons of information up there already. I just talked to Kara, who is my assistant, she didn't show up for work today because she's just finishing up her master's degree. So she's doing 3 hours from home, and then she's got to get her master's degree done by the end of July. So anyway, but she's totally focused on continuing to queue up new stuff to put into the community. And then I take it and upload the zip files and, post the new content. And, we got a process, obviously. But we are going through every single day. We're adding more content. And we're also going to add a new section that we haven't quite got a place for it yet, but I'm building the content out. And then when it's ready, we're going to post some up. And then again, we'll have one of these classes where we introduce it to people. And that is client-facing materials. So this is not necessarily sales materials, but for example, We'll have materials on, a demo that you can go through your clients on how to set up Outlook to share a meeting room as an item that everybody can schedule time in the meeting room. And that's not brain surgery or anything like that, but it's one thing to send them off to Microsoft and say, put in how do I click, click, click. And it's another thing to give them a 3-page handout that's got your logo on it and is good for them, right? Anything that we can do to help you look good to your clients brings value to your company. And, I'm a big believer that you should be doing regular training with your clients, and anything related to Microsoft Office is always welcome. So we're going to help you develop those materials so that, again, you can go and say, hey, would you guys like a free training? We're going to give you a free training every quarter. And next week it's going to be on virus, or next month it'll be on virus, and the quarter after that it'll be on something else, and so forth. We're going to help you develop those materials. And to my knowledge, I don't think anybody else is really focusing on that. I am going to put up all my audio programs. So I think we have several hundred hours of audio programs already in the community, simply because Kara started with A for audio, and that's where she started. And eventually I told her, hey, stop. We need to populate some of the other areas as well. I'm going to put up some archived classes. So we have some classes that are not being taught any longer over at Great Little Seminar. We also have some that are just an older version of a current class. I also have some that basically I taught a class one time and I happen to have my recorder on. I'm a big I have a habit of recording everything, and then if it can be turned into something that's worth distributing, then I keep it. I've got white papers, obviously books, checklists, all kinds of stuff. So we are building more and more content all the time. And eventually the goal is to have literally everything I've ever done will be in this community. So what's not included? So what's not included is that we have, I think there are 14 active classes in our catalog over at greatlittleseminar.com. So if we added those to the community, we would have to increase the price by about $200 a month. So it just wasn't worth it. So what we're going to do is have a code so that you can get the classes at a special price for the live classes, but they're not included in the community. So live classes are different. And then live events. So we have a community meeting and we're all going to go to Vegas. That's not going to be included. So, and then if we do events with other organizations, like I do events with Channel Pro and other folks from time to time. So those would not be included because, I'm not the one who controls the venue or anything else. Now, in terms of the community leaders, these are kind of the major topics we have right now. And so there are folks who are going to help us with all kinds of things, including marketing and compliance questions. The one-person powerhouse is being run by my friend Lori Hartke, who has really done an amazing job. It's a truly impressive job of growing her business from one state to 2 states. And these aren't adjoining states. One is Arizona and the other one's Hawaii. But she's built her business in 2 states without hiring anybody. And she talks about what her strategies are for success. And she helps other people who are one-person shops to try to figure out, how do I leverage this? How can I look at the world just a little bit differently and move my business to the next level without going to having employees? So there are some people who they want to be a 1 or a 2-person shop and they want to stay there forever, and that's completely legitimate, but you can't have your money stay there forever. Your money still has to increase. So how do you do that? And so anyway, we have all kinds of interesting stuff like that going on. Here are the community leaders so far. I think everybody's on this list. My friend Richard Tubb is a coach from the UK. He and I do a podcast together for Auvik. Mike Semmel, I know many of you have heard. He does HIPAA and other compliance stuff. Josh Lieberman is on security. He does some amazing stuff, and most of it is Sonic Wall focused. But Sonic Wall, I think, is one of 32 pieces that he puts into his puzzle that constitutes the whole security picture. So, clearly he's got a lot of different things to talk about besides just Sonic Wall. Jennifer Fields with Aztec Marketing helps people implement marketing programs and so forth and so on. And obviously Harry Brailsford is doing analytics. And, I could go through all of these folks, but these names. These are Amy Babinchak and Rianne Buccianico, Alan Helbush. These are people who've been in the community a long, long time and have contributed a great deal. So we're going to have lots of people running discussions and helping to, have everybody sort of step up. Wherever you need assistance, there's going to be somebody here who wants to help you get there. So AJ has a question about pricing, so we're going to get to that. So the standard pricing starts in September, and it's $99 a month, US, and $9.99 a year. So the yearly saves you about 16%, just because there's a couple of months that you don't have to pay the $99. In August, so starting August 1st, you can do the $99 a month or $99.99 a year, and during August only, you would receive an additional 3 months. So instead of being just a 12-month subscription, it'll expire, I think, October 30th of 2019. So that gives you an extra bonus savings. And during July, so today's the 19th, so you got about 10, 11 days, 12 days left. You save an extra $100. So it's $8.99 for the year, plus you get those 3 extra months. So that's the current pricing through the end of this month. And in terms of Canadian partners, I don't know what to tell you, except it's whatever $99 a month US is. So I think that's $120-ish, something like that. So that's that. If you join during July or August, you'll also be a founding member. So one of the things we're going to do in the community is we're going to do some badgification, some gamification. And so that will be basically the, once you get a founding member badge, it will appear on your profile forever. And so, we're going to have other stuff like that. Like if you go through this LinkedIn training, I don't even know what it's going to be. I've put Sally Galley, who's my graphics person, in charge of that. So she's actually coming up with some badge designs, and at some point we will release a few of those anyway. But eventually what will happen is that you'll earn badges for participating in this forum, that forum, for going through a training and all that. So Chima, is that how I pronounce that? Asks, so what's the cost for the expert-led training sessions? Well, the cost is nothing extra. It's included. So like you want to do that LinkedIn thing, that would be included. Josh Lieberman has already talked to me about the possibility of doing a 3-part, basically security basics tune-up, right? And the specifics of that will emerge over time, but those would be literally just included. So the goal here is we're going to try to come up with as much stuff as we can to engage you, educate you, and bring you to the next level. And that will be included in the session. So pretty much the only thing that's not included would be outside live events. So if I hold a conference, I don't anticipate that would be included. the live classes that are held once every 5 weeks are not included. But anything that's inside the community is included. Steve asks, what's the one-time today special price? Sorry, Steve. I've decided not to do the high pressure launch thing, because what that leads to is people asking for their money back 6 months later. So, so this is it. So right now, today, $8.99 through the end of the month. First of the month, it goes to $9.99. That's the price. The main thing is, if you want a motivation for today, is once we go to the $99 a month, right, you get to be a founding member. That's all good. But you really do have a huge savings if you prepay, you know, and I know not everybody can come up with $900 basically. So I totally understand that, but I've decided not to have a series of cascading specials that just requires me to have an extra person that I'm hired just to keep track of who's paying what. And I know you had to try. One of the things I always tell people, especially, you know, clients who ask for a discount, I know that you're required to ask for a discount and I'm required to say no. So I think this is a good deal, to be honest with you. If you took every book I've ever written, it would cost you more than $899. Now, I fully acknowledge many of you have already bought most of my books. I always hear people say, oh, I bought everything you have. I'm like, no, I don't think so. If you bought everything I have at SMB Books, one copy of each, I think the cost is in the neighborhood of $4,500. So, you know, I can guarantee nobody's paid me that much money over time. Anyway, so that's the cost. That's the deal. Whenever we come up with new stuff, we're going to throw it into the community, and there will be no extra cost. So in terms of the latest news, I put out a news flash that's on my blog. So if you just go to blog.smallbizthoughts.com, there's kind of a news flash there. And I'm going to try to do these on a regular basis, where I give you a 60 to 90 second, hey, what's new kind of broadcast. But basically, the amount of data, the amount of content we have in the community right now is going to double by the end of the week, which to me is Saturday. So I've got a few more days to get that job done. I'm actually helping the guy who bought my last company. I'm helping him with a server migration today. We are also opening up access to all the people who signed up. So I think there's maybe 10 or 12 people who have paid but haven't yet been given access into the community. So I will be finishing doing up that as well by Saturday. And of course, the live instant access, the ability to put in your credit card and go ding, 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 and just get in, starts August 1st. Until then, we're processing through our regular bookstore front end. Now, one of the things I've been asked about by some larger organizations is if they could have a group membership for a larger organization. So the answer to that is yes. I had to do some thinking about it. I had to work with Ruben to make sure that we can do this automatically in the system, which of course requires another plugin. But anyway, so it's going to be $2,999. Will get you up to 10 users. They have to be from the same organization. They have to have the same domain email address. It is not intended for franchises that actually have 6 people here and 7 people there and 9 people there. They can't put them all on that program. That's not what it's intended for. I mean, they could within their city, within their organization, but not franchise wide for that price. But you know, if somebody says, look, I really want to get 5 or 6 people in here, great. That $29.99 is the way to do that. And then, you know, in terms of vendors, right now, and eventually I'm happy to let the community evolve their opinion on this, and I'll be open to whatever. But right now, my goal would be that vendors will be able to have individual logons. They can be, carlp@company.com and come in and read the forums and comment on things and defend themselves if they feel like somebody misstated something or whatever. But that's kind of it, where again, I'm not going to put up banner ads. I'm not going to have pop-ups. I'm not going to do special stuff where they get to buy your mailing list. As a kind of a side note, my privacy policy has always been, literally from day one, I will never sell, rent, loan an email address. So, if somebody does a webinar together, that's one thing. But in terms of me taking my list and selling 70,000 names with email addresses, never has happened, never will happen. So the good thing for me is now with the privacy laws in the state of California and GDPR and other things, the rest of the world is coming around to putting some restrictions on that. But so that's where we are with vendors. Steve asks, when can we start accessing the information? Well, here's the deal. I promise you that if you join, you'll get it by August 1st. But realistically, I am sitting down in groups and adding, 5 people at a time into the community. And basically, you'll get an email that says, here are your credentials, here's your username, password, and so forth. And we have almost 50 signed up already. So about 40 of those have credentials and about 10 don't, or 12 don't. My goal would be, to get it out as quickly as I can. So quite realistically, anybody who signs up, today or tomorrow, whatever, I will probably have those credentials created by Saturday. And I talked about the first mini course. So I think what I've done is scheduled it for I got to look at a calendar, but I think it's like August 16th or something like that. Yeah, it looks like the 16th is a Thursday. So it would be the 16th, 23rd, and 30th would be the days we have those classes. That gives us time to start the community, have people kind of poke around, and, I don't want to overwhelm you with stuff right at the beginning, but that gives us a little lag time to get that going and then, promote that class within the community. And then it also gives me a little time to prepare for that because, LinkedIn changes all the time. And I have a paid subscription, but I know that a lot of people are not, they don't have a paid subscription to LinkedIn. So I'll, talk about, how it's useful and so forth. But also just a lot of stuff on this is why you want a good graphic in the background. This is what a headline is. Forget this job title. Nobody cares that you're the president of this and that. It should say, here's what I do. I help people make money, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that starts August 16th, no extra charge. So here's the deal. If you go to the smallbizthoughts.com, there's a big blue button there that says, learn more about the community. And if you follow that through, it takes you to the launch page. Now, if you go to smallbizthoughts.org, that is the community. And I believe the launch links are live there as well. So if you go to smallbizthoughts.org, you'll see what the community looks like, and you'll be able to kind of poke around. I also have, if you go to my blog, I have a number of things where I'm kind of poking around and showing you what the inside of the community looks like. And, if you, there's probably 3 or 4 of them now, but if you look at them over time, you kind of see it changing a little bit here and there. And Ruben is literally working on it as we speak, because we had a long development meeting yesterday and talked about, some changes that we're going to make. Luckily, I think I had 4 things on my list and he had 27. So, and I think I got 3 of mine done. Anyway, so that's that. So go to smallbizthoughts.org and you'll be good. Are there any questions? By the way, this is my motto for those of you who haven't seen me make a presentation before. Nothing happens by itself. You want change, you got to make it happen. I'm a big believer that you need to get paid in advance for everything, but people won't just automatically do that. You have to actually ask them. So, all right. So David raised his hand. What do I do with that? Does that mean you want to talk? All right. A lot of times, older version of Zoom. Oh, David, I can't let you talk because you're using an older version of Zoom. Smallbizthoughts.org was slow. Oh, okay. So AJ asks again, Canadian pricing is about 35% higher. I'm not sure what to do about that. So disregard the raised hand. So AJ, send me an email, carlp@smallbizthoughts.com. I really am just not sure what to do about that. David, if the site is slow, then that's obviously something we got to deal with. I do know that we let a whole ton of people in all at once. Plus, I don't know what changes are going on in the background. So, one of the things that Ruben is dedicated to is to do everything we can to speed things up because we anticipate a lot of activity in the first week of August. We don't anticipate, we don't know what's going to go wrong. But, one of my philosophies about project management is something's going to go wrong. I don't know what it is, but I know that we're going to find it and we're going to fix it. So that certainly, I anticipate that to be the case. One of the things that happened a while back, there was an issue with one of our online classes. And Rayanne made the brilliant statement, which is that, well, thank goodness everybody who follows us is technical because they know stuff just happens. So I think there's a certain level of forgiveness that exists in the world out there. So, all righty. Any other questions? I'm going to take a sip of water here. Nothing. All right. Well, I hope that you all scoot over there and check it out, watch the launch videos, and it's no exaggeration. Like, this organization, this community has really energized me, and I am very excited about seeing what we can do with this. So. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. So, all righty. If there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and put this to sleep. And then if you check out my blog, in case you're interested, I will. I'm sure I'll post a rebroadcast up there in case people are interested. Thanks for attending, everyone. I certainly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you inside the Small Biz Thoughts community.